where we have the entire year, 12 months out of the year, where the sun is there, we got water, we got young people. Why is it that those people are feeding us and we can't feed ourselves?
Welcome to Marco Loro TV. My name is Marco Loro. I'm your host for Inside a Great Mind. And today I'm so honored to have Mr. Thione Niang on this show. He has so many talent, but we're going to talk about farming today, about his project Jeff Zone, and what he's doing to empower young Africans to have love for agriculture, not just in Africa, but around the world. Mr. Thione, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So tell us, who's Thione Niang?
Well, I am a Senegalese American,
Okay.
born and raised in Senegal, in a small city named Kaolack,
Kaolack.
3 hours away from Dakar. I grew up partly in Kaolack and in Dakar, the capital of Senegal. I came to America in 2000. I was 22 then. I started in New York City in the Bronx.
Okay.
As many immigrants here, cleaning tables, and then in Cleveland, Ohio, where I did my schooling, but also my first days in politics, in American politics engagement, and with the Democratic Party, the Young Democrats, and then President Obama's campaign, both of them. And then later on, went over the world and created Give One Project, which is my first nonprofit organization.
Okay.
Which is helping to engage young people into leadership and entrepreneurship. And that organization today in 34 countries.
Congratulations.
More than 25,000 young people in there. Thank you. And in a nutshell, that's just I'm a young man from a great country that's given me a lot that I took with me to come to this great country also, the United States, that allowed me to push the limits and do the things that I've dreamed about, and even the things that I thought was impossible, and play my role in what can help move the world in the small scale that I can in my level. And today I go back and forth between Africa and America to engage into various different projects. And all of those projects are into development and different various. We'll talk about it more in details.
So, Econoline in Africa, Give One Project, and at Jeff Zone. So, why Jeff Zone now?
Well, Jeff Zone is all of the projects that I'm involved in. I guess were like in respond to the questions that I had.
Okay.
I listened to Bobby Kennedy, who talked about there's those who dream, there's those who see things the way they are and ask for why not, why, and those who see things the way they are and ask why not. And I always ask that same question to why things are the way they are and how can we change them in the way we want them to be. It's been a few years ago I started to pay attention to our eating habits when I go home, in my home, and I see in most of the things we eat there is rice and chebujan, which is the jollof rice. Okay. Majority of all the ingredients are coming from overseas. And I was talking to my family to see that, listen, the oil is coming from Ukraine or Indonesia. Yes. Ukraine is very far from Senegal. The rice is coming from Asia, Malaysia, etc. Most of the vegetables sometimes coming from Morocco, the carrots and etc. When I look around, we have the 62% of the world's edible land. It's a flat land. 362 days out of the year is sunny. And we have the youngest population in the world.
Correct, yeah, that's true.
And I ask myself, why are we in this position where countries like France and Spain, the United States, etc., just farm 6 months or less out of the year. From April, May to October, November, they harvest and go back to winter.
Yes.
Where we have the entire year, 12 months out of the year, where the sun is there, we got water, we got young people. Why is it that those people are feeding us and we can't feed ourselves? And living in America, I've known, I've understood, and I've traveled the world enough to understand that there is no development when they cannot feed yourself. Even in a personal level, in a small scale, if you can't work and take care of yourself, you become a dependent. And there's not much you can do to contribute in society. That's why we value work in America and everywhere else. So I see this question was a serious question that shouldn't be just a question to ask and look for somebody else to blame. Many of us sometimes look for government to blame. We look for a president to blame. We look for a friend or cousin to blame, or a parent to blame for what the things are not working. But I truly believe that leadership is about stepping in and getting dirty and showing the way by actions. So I said in my small scale first, in my house, I want to make sure everything I eat comes from a farm, this local farm. That's how I started to, instead of drinking pop in Senegal, in many African countries, when you say hi as a guest, the first thing they do go get you a store or get you Coca-Cola or Sprite or Pepsi. In my house, it's been more than 7 years. Nobody drinks those kind of juices or pops and etc. I started using Bissap, Bui, etc. Those things that we have in home, that when I buy it, I know the money is going to a pocket of a small farmer who's helping the economy grow. Then I went on to buy my own farm, then started farming. And my house, my family's houses, are all self-sufficient to everything we eat come from the home. And then from there, I made it a point to make sure that I opened a training school in the farm in Jefferson, built houses in there, and started recruiting young people throughout the continent to come and get interested in farming. Because only us can solve the problem, which is a huge question, but it's a generation question that we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is what got me into farming. Today, Jefferson is doing pretty well. The farm is self-sufficient. Okay. And then secondly, we are now beginning to open stores, grocery shops, in small neighborhoods, where we sell all green stuff and all organic food that's coming from our farm and farms that's around us.
So it's going to be like a grocery store pretty much?
We already have them here. It's called the Jefferson Farm Markets.
Okay, so things are going to go from the farm directly?
Directly to the, yeah, if you go to Dakar, you see one. It's Kaolack, where I was born. There's one in Chess, and there's one in Sangalkam. We now have 4 stores that we just started to open this year. Okay. Yeah, and we're growing slowly.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yep.
So what inspired you, or let me say, who inspired you either way?
Well, the inspiration comes in different levels. When I was young, a great man named Kofi Annan, may God bless his soul, inspired me to come to America and test the impossible land and see what's possible for me here. Because I grew up in a poor family. And I watched my mom growing up, going through it, with a polygamy family, not being able to feed her kids, and going through jealousy between wives and fightings and etc. And I wanted to make her happy. That was my first drive. And I decided I was going to do something. One day I will get a job and just help my mother. My grandfather, who was my hero, always believed in me and pushed me to go after my education, to give it the serious, make it my priority. And when I had my baccalaureate, I tried it to come to the United States 3-4 times. They denied my visa for 2 years. I waited for it. And finally, when I got it, I came here to try it. Like many Africans and foreigners that come to this country, we come with empty pockets, but heart full of dreams and love for our home continent. And this is what brought me here. But along the way, there is a lot of inspiration that came along that I never expected. I'm inspired by when I travel to countries and I see what's possible in Singapore, to see what Lee Kuan Yew, a young man, was able to do in a desperate situation for his country after Malaysia left them in less than 50 years, was able to take a poor country with determination and hard work from -0 to 100 plus high-level country. That inspired me when I saw in Singapore. What I see in this country after 200-something years of nothing but land, but you see where we are in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska. And everywhere you look, this morning when I see the farms and see 900 hectares with only being run by 2 people. I have 15 hectares and I got almost 15 people in my farm. Here, 900 hectares, 2 people are running it with all the equipment you need, all the technology. It inspires me to want to do that in my home country. I'm inspired also when I go home, and I don't know if I can call it inspiring, but it puts an obligation for me to do more for my continent. When I see, until in 2018, my mothers and aunts and women across the continent are still living in the dark. Out of 3 Africans, only 1 has decent electricity or energy, source of energy. 600 million of us are still living in the dark. And I'm touched also when I go to the hospitals in Senegal, in Togo, in Benin, and etc., and see how people go into hospitals and there's no doctors, there's no equipment, there's no decent health care. Children are still dying of a small diseases, paludism and malaria, etc. People still are hungry, not eating well, because we're not able to meet the requirements to give food to our population. All of these issues that I see, the employment that's touching our young people, which is causing them to take the ocean to go to Europe. Most of them are dying, chasing a dream that never existed. All of these things that I see when I go around between countries puts me in a situation to question myself of, should I be a criticizer or an actor, or I have to play a part in, like our founding fathers did. They were young like us who dream of the impossibilities, push the limits, go against the odds to ask for independence. And I know when Nkrumah thought about it, when Patrice Lumumba, Senghor, and etc., Nyerere, there were young people like us who just wanted better things for their families and better things for their lives in their countries. And they made it happen, even though they didn't reach the limit of what they wanted. And I know they knew that there's going to be some children after them. Their great-grandkids will come, their kids will come to continue the fight, to work to get things better for the continent.
That's amazing.
And I think that time has come that we also have to put on the shoes, hold the flag high, and keep going to the bushes and the difficulties and the obstacles until we can reach that limit. And if we don't like them, at least we will push it a little higher. And I hope that the young people we are training through Give One Project, through my friend Tony Alamelous, etc., and all these great organizations like what you're doing here in Nebraska will help to make life better for our people we left back home. So this is basically what inspires me every day and what keeps me up and what makes me moving around, and that's what brought me here in Nebraska. Yeah.
What would be your last word or tips to a young person who's out there who wants to become an entrepreneur, who's hustling? What would be your 1 or 2 tips for that person?
Any young entrepreneur that is watching, what I would ask you just to do is the things that I believed in, which is perseverance and optimism. Entrepreneurship is a very difficult route to go. If it was the easy route, everybody will do it. Majority of the people are not entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs are the crazy people who have ideas that in the beginning, most of the time, everyone thinks that they're wasting their time. But I'm here to tell you that those crazy people out there doing crazy enough to change the world. Mark Zuckerberg was a young crazy guy who today have changed the world on his way with Facebook. Larry Page was a young crazy guy with Google today. Elon Musk was a crazy guy with Tesla. Dangote was a crazy guy today with the Dangote Group and doing amazing things in the continent. Tony Elumelu, the same thing. Akon was the same. And everyone who's tried to do something great, you've got to arm yourself with these two things, which is perseverance is going to be difficult. And you have to hang in there and believe in your dreams and your reality and what you believe you can do and put in the work. If you believe it, you work at it. If you don't give up, it's going to be there. They're going to touch the dream. But if you dream about it and you don't work, it's just going to stay to be a dream. If you dream about it, you work, and it gets difficult, you give up. You're halfway there, but you're not going to get there. So my advice to them is dream it, put in the work, and push to the end until you see it. Don't give up. If you don't give up, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And always remember that what you're doing today is not for you, and it's bigger than you. It's going to be for generations to come. We have to create things that can touch lives that we don't even meet.
Exactly.
So anyone starting a business, wherever you are in the world needs you. They need your talent. They need you to wake up and to believe in yourself so we can benefit from the blessings that God has put in you. And each one of us has that. Yeah. Some push to wake it up, and some decide to let it sleep. And some decide to give it to someone else, to go work for somebody else. And some decide they're going to push until they open it and share it with the world. So,
Thione, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It's a blessing. Thank you very much.